Dvar Malchut, these are, well, what, first of all, what did we just finish doing? We just finished learning a essay which was spoken by the first Rebbe of Chabad about 250 years ago, Rebbe Shneur Zalman. He's the one that wrote the book, the Tanya, and he also wrote the Shulchan Aruch Harav. It's called Shulchan Aruch Harav. And that is to explain what is God, what is Judaism, what is the Torah, what's the world, how do they all fit together? How do they all fit in together? That's the ideas of Hasidut, to take the secrets of the Torah and make them practical to us in our day-to-day life, make us happy Jews. That's what the first Rebbe of Chabad spoke. This is now a speech given by the seventh Rebbe of Chabad. Here's the seventh Rebbe of Chabad, right? Known picture. And he said this in 1992, which was shortly before he had a stroke. Now, the purpose of Judaism is to bring Moshiach. That's the purpose of Judaism. The Maimonides says that any Jew that does not believe in Moshiach and wait for him to come, await his arrival, is denying all of Judaism. And he gives criteria for what Moshiach has to be. It's not just up in the air. Clear criteria of what Moshiach has to be. He has to know all the Torah. He has to try to impress all the Jews, to bring them all back to Torah and to do the commandments. He has to fight against anything that opposes Judaism. And that person is supposed to be Moshiach. And his goal is to wake up all the Jews, build the third temple, defeat all of our enemies, build the third temple, and then bring all the Jews to Israel. That's only Moshiach will do it. Okay, but Moshiach, one of the main things of Moshiach is teaching. He's going to teach everybody. He's going to teach everybody what the Torah really means. He's going to teach everybody that the Torah really comes from our Creator, who's creating us. That the Torah is infinitely close to us and infinitely real and infinitely vital and important to each and every one of us, to every moment, and to every human being. Okay, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who I personally am certain is the Mashiach, because he has all the qualifications that the Rambam says. If somebody else says it's somebody else, that's okay. But it has to be according to these criteria that the Rambam says. In any case, his teachings are one that for sure, according to all opinions, are very positive. And they're ones which are designed to make the Jewish people crazy. To make the Jewish people crazy for Mashiach, to make the Jewish people crazy for God, to make the Jewish people believe, every single Jew, that they can change the entire world by just doing one good deed, one good word, even one good thought. And what's good, that's what's defined here. What's good? That's what's defined here. Okay, so the Rebbe says like this. We have the Bible. The Bible is 5 books of Moses. The book of the Bible is laws trying to tell us what to do. Like I said, the laws. The story about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc., have nothing to do with what to do. They're not telling us what to do. The laws of the Torah begin when God starts telling the Jews to leave Egypt. The Jews are in Egypt. He gives them one commandment in Egypt for all time, namely to count the months, to decide when the month is, look up at the sky and see when the moon is full, when it's empty, when it's this, and then to decide when the beginning of the month is. That's the first commandment to all the Jewish people. Here, the story about Abraham was 400 years before that. And it has apparently nothing to do with any of the laws of the Torah. Even the fact that Abraham circumcised and brought circumcision into the world, we don't circumcise our children because of what Abraham did. We remind ourselves that Abraham also did it. That began Judaism. But the reason we circumcise our children is because it's a commandment in the Torah. Later on, and in Parshas Tazria, in the book of Leviticus, B'yom Shmini Yamal Basar Alasol. So really, we don't do any of the comments. So why is this whole story with all these big details that God tells Abraham to leave his place and go to the land of Israel? What's the big thing about leaving? What do you have to leave? What do you have to do? So the Rebbe says, well, that was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. What Abraham did was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. So the Rebbe says, okay, but the Torah was already given 3,300 years ago. So he prepared, but we already have the Torah. We don't have to prepare. What do we have to prepare? So the Rebbe says, no, the fact is the Torah is being given every single day brand new. Every day brand new. We have to look and see that the Torah is fresh. Just like we're being created fresh every day by God. God doesn't rely on what he did yesterday. He's creating us every single instant brand new. So the Torah is also brand new every second. So therefore, we have to make preparations for receiving the Torah every brand new every second. And the Rebbe said even more than that. Not only is it just a preparation for the Torah, but that is the manifestation of the Torah. What Abraham did back then, before the Torah was given, is what we have to do now in order to reveal the point of the Torah, the idea of the Torah. So let's see if we can find where this is. Okay, yeah. 1 minute. Okay. Yes, that's what it says. We can even say even a little deeper way. Am I recording? I hope I'm recording this. 1 second. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it says we can even say a deeper way that what? That's what I just told you. I want to get my pointer over here. Shehatzorich tamidi, that the necessity constantly, even after the Torah was given, that we have to manifest in ourselves, personify, embody this lech lecha, going out of yourself as a preparation for the giving of the Torah. It's not just because we have to have this as a preparation for a higher level of matan Torah, of giving the Torah. Like we said before, you always have to elevate yourself and be more aware of what God is and what the Torah is. Elamishum, but because lech lecha, this idea of going out of yourself, nogea le'etzem inyan hashlemus shel matan Torah. This is the whole manifestation of why God gave the Torah. This is the outcome of the Torah. And when is the Torah given? Every moment brand new. God just began the process 3,300, whatever it is, 37 years ago. 37 years ago, yeah. Give me a second. Yeah, 37 years. 8. Yeah, that's right. So he just began the process back then, giving the Torah. But the fact of the matter is the Torah is being given constantly every moment. So we have to prepare for a higher level of appreciating the Torah and doing what the Torah says, bringing the Torah into the world, fixing up the world. And not only that, the Torah comes in order to help us also become higher. So the true purpose of the Torah is not just the Torah itself. It's the effect that the Torah has on us. And that's what effect should it have on us? Lech lecha. To be like Abraham, to go out of ourselves. Dalet. Yuvan, we can understand this, first of all, when we answer the question, which is similar, which is told in our Torah portion, about Halichat v'Kanisat Avram, that Abraham went, he walked, and he entered the land of Israel. Ha'eretz asher areka, the land that I show you. V'havtachat, and the promise of the land of Israel, v'netinata, and giving it by means of God to Abraham and his offspring. God promised. Okay, I said this before, but I think there's new people that are coming in. Just one small innuendo that the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, and he said it many times, that there's a big argument now about who Israel belongs to. It belongs to the United Nations, belongs to the Jews, belongs to the Arabs. Who's here first? Who is this? So the Rebbe said that what are they using for proofs? First of all, they have the white papers, and they have the whatever it is, the this agreement and that agreement, and England gave it to us, and we were here. We had the first temple, we had the second temple, and King Solomon, and it was there, and it's mentioned in the Bible. And this, the Rebbe said that all of that is very nice, but the fact of the matter is even if all that was not in existence, if no Jew ever lived in the land of Israel, never lived here, and there was never a first temple, and there was never a second temple, and there was no King Solomon, and there was no all this history of the Jewish people, that's been here from, if it doesn't make any difference. And the non-Jews, the Arabs, have been here from time immemorial, like they say. It makes no difference, because God promised the land to Abraham and his offspring, and the Jews. And we're the Jews. Everyone agrees that we're the Jews. Here, everybody hates the Jews. How do they know who to hate, right? The Christians say that we're the real Jews. So why doesn't anybody hate them? They're the real Jews. Anti-Semitism should be directed against them, right? Or the Arabs say, no, we're the chosen people. So why doesn't anybody hate them? Because they're the chosen people. People know who the Jews are, right? They know who the Jews are. They even make up new ideas of who the Jews are. The Nazis made up new ideas. If your father is a Jew, if your grandfather was a Jew, just the idea that there can be Jews in the world, this drives everybody crazy. And one of the reasons is because God gave the land of Israel to the Jews, and it can't be taken from them. It's not like any other land in the world. All of the lands, every nation there is in the world is there because somebody conquered it from somebody else. Every nation. The Normans conquered it from the Saxons, from the who knows what it is, right? Every nation is conquered. There's no nation in the world that was there from time immemorial. No place. The cavemen lived in whatever is in Belgium, and therefore it belongs. There's no such thing, right? Every nation was conquered by somebody else, and it was taken over. The only place that can never be conquered is Israel. God gave the land to Israel permanently. That's it. It's not like any other land. The Jews are not like any other people. It's a permanent, just like God can never be eradicated. You can not believe in him. You can whatever you want to deny him. You can change what he said. You can try to change. But the fact of the matter is that God and his Torah and the Jewish people and Israel are eternal. You can't change that. You can pretend, right? But you can't. So God gave the land of Israel to, by the way, another parenthetical statement, a parenthesis within the parentheses. There's a book which is called, I read a little bit of the book. It's called From Time Immemorial. It's written by this woman. It's called Joan Rivers. She came to Israel. She came because she did not like the Jews. She was not fond of the Jews, whatever you want to say. And she came to prove finally once and for all that the land of Israel belongs to the Palestinians. They were here and it's theirs and it's. And she had all these claims and all these. So she came and she started investigating. And like I said, she had no love, affinity to the Jews at all, and especially to the Zionists and all this. And she started realizing that all of the claims of the Palestinians, whatever you want, I mean, there's no such thing as Palestinians. There never was such a thing as Palestinians. Before 48, there was never Palestinians. No, it doesn't exist. Anyway, she realized that everything is lies. It's just all lies. And that they say they've been here from time immemorial, it's just a big lie. She wrote a big, thick book about it called Time Immemorial, and she changed their whole opinion, and nobody reads the book. It's just put it on the side. Nobody reads it. Because the Jews are denying their identity. If the Jews would say, listen, we come from Abraham was chosen by God, then that's the best argument they could possibly have. You don't agree that Israel belongs, take it up with God, don't take it up with me. It's not my thing. If it was up to me, I would be, one of the leftists over there, the protesting in Harvard against the occupation, right? That's what the Jews do. If it was up to me, I would be over there. Why not, right? Why not? But the fact of the matter is it's not up to you. And that's what we're learning about here. The inescapable fact is that there is God, and God is infinitely good, and God creates the world, and God gave the Torah, and God chose Abraham, and he gave the land of Israel to us. And all of this comes from God's goodness. He's creating us. He's enlivening us. That's pretty good. And he's enlivening us for free, just from love. So we should do some things for him for free. And that's what the Rebbe is trying to say. You want to repay God a little bit. That's called doing tshuva, returning a little bit to God what we owe him. Then here I'm telling you how to do it. Learn from Abraham. And we can understand, first of all, a similar question, Abraham coming into the land of Israel by means of God and his commandment to go into the land of Israel. Even since that this whole idea in our parsha, in our Torah portion of Abraham going into the land of Israel and giving the land of Israel to him and all of his offspring, choser, it repeats itself, Bosafa, Bakol Shana, every single year, Kasher Korim, when we read this Torah portion. If so, we have a question, La'ach, or after that God, in our Torah portion, he already gave actually the land of Israel to the Jewish people. Like God said, Lazaracha Natati, to your offspring, I will give this land. Natati, I gave it already. Not I will give. Natati, I have given. I translated it wrong. Lazaracha, to your offspring, I have given this land. Natati b'lashon arvar. God already gave it. What does it mean? He already gave it from the beginning of the creation of the world. Harihi shalahem, it's yours. Yerusha hi lachem. It's an inheritance to you from your forefathers. Ad shedavar zeh, until this is relevant to law. She'eretz Yisrael, that the land of Israel, muchzakat hi, it is the possession. Ad, even Torah, even before the Jewish people came, after they received the Torah and they came into the land of Israel, right? What happened? They received the Torah, they wandered 40 years in the desert. Then Moses died, and they came into the land of Israel with Joshua, and he fought the occupants for 7 years. And then another 7 years, they divided up the land of Israel. And then that was conquering, taking the land of Israel. But even before Joshua did this, even before the creation, God already decided the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. Ubafrad, and even before he gave it to Abraham, he said to Abraham, I already gave you this land. Ubafrad, and especially according to what the commentaries say, that by means that Abraham, he fulfilled, and he said, Kum v'hisalech beretz the arka l'rachba, that Abraham was commanded by God to walk the whole entire length and width of the land of Israel. Avad bo, he made chazkata, he took possession of the land. Kanayat Eretz Yisrael Lazaro ad olam. By means of him taking actual possession, so he actually went in the land, he took possession permanently of the land. There's no statute of limitations or something like that on the land of Israel, right? In America, a person has a house, he leaves his house, he's gone for 10, 15 years, people can come and squat. I don't know, there's some sort of a law like that. For someone that's been squatting there for 15 years, it belongs to him. Well, here, God promised Abraham 4,000 years ago the land of Israel, right? And let's say that people have been squatting there for 4,000 years. The law doesn't apply. God gave it to him, it's eternal. How much more so after that the Jewish people actually went and they took over the land of Israel, actually, the kivush rishon, in the first conquering, when Joshua went in, and afterwards, when they came back from the first exile with Ezra, right, after the first temple was destroyed, which that's about 1,000 years after they entered into the land of Israel, the first temple was destroyed, and then there were 70 years in Babylon, and Ezra brought everybody back to Israel. They built the second temple, and Ezra brought everybody back to Israel with Ezra. He told her, "My mashmutos." If so, what is the importance now that we have to tell the story about Abraham being given the land of Israel and going into the land and taking it over? Why do we have to learn about this? Maybe we can say we're learning about it because it's a history lesson, or is it teaching us? No. We're talking about that God is giving us the land right now. That's the point of the Torah. It's right now. What do we have to give it to us right now for? He already gave it to us 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. The Kodesh Baruch Hu gave the land of Israel. This is history. They don't come back. The Torah is supposed to be a book of teaching now. Torah means hora'ah, teaching. This question becomes even stronger. But Dorot Achronim, in the last generations of exile. But Dorot Rishonim Shel Galut, in the first generation of exile, right after Titus destroyed the second temple and the Jews got scattered all over the place. So in the first generations, you could say, She'inyan shalech lecha me'artzecha al eretz asher areka. This is relevant to spiritual. Asekan Eretz Yisrael. Right? We're talking about that's a spiritual lessons that Abraham, you have to go out from your personality, from your bad habits, from your wrong axioms about what the world is about. You have to go out of those things, spiritual. And that you should have an effect on where you are. You happen to be a Jew in Russia. Famous thing that the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe of Chabad, there was a chassid that wanted to come to the land of Israel, and the Tzemach Tzedek said, make here the land of Israel. And the Rebbe said, how could he say a thing like that? I mean, Russia is definitely not, Ukraine is definitely not Israel. So what he meant is that wherever you are, the Jewish people have to make that place holy. It doesn't detract at all from the holiness of Israel, and that Moshiach is going to bring all the Jews to Israel, and every Jew should be living in Israel, right? Even before Moshiach comes. But to live in Israel, what's wrong? That's a good thing. Live in Israel. But the main thing is that you have to make yourself fitting to live in Israel. You have to make yourself holy. And a holy Jew means that he doesn't keep it to himself. He does to others. So then we can learn from Abraham. Abraham went out from himself. But after the Jewish people have been serving so long and having effect on the world, Meshech, Adoros and all the generations in exile, almost 2,000 years. Even though that the service is not completely finished, that what the Mashiach has not yet come, the Mashiach has not yet done his job in the world. Ach nimtzaim were found harba meos me'aver. We're harba me'od. We're much after the beginning of the service of conquering the land and the world and transforming the world to be Israel. Jews have been scattered all over the world for so long doing commandments and bringing holiness into the world. Okay, enough. We've done it. Good. How much more so, Shenimsam Kavar, that we're already found. That we have to, where the world is not a place where we have to necessarily get out of. It's not so bad. We've already worked on outside of the land of Israel. Okay, enough. We've already done enough. Right? So why is the point of learning about Abraham that we have to go out? Go out. Abraham already went out and he already fixed up, and the Jews have been fixing up the world for so long and working in the world. So why do we have to learn about it now? Now the whole thing just depends on Moshiach to take us to Israel. What's the point? Maybe we can say the explanation is like this. When God gave the land of Israel to Abraham, this week in the covenant that he made between the pieces, God told Abraham to slaughter different types of animals and to separate the pieces, put one piece here and here, and that God, and it says there was a fiery furnace, whatever it is, went, and Abraham went between the pieces to show that just like these pieces are not whole one with the other, without the other, as me and the Jewish people, me and Abraham are one unit. And there, God, at that time, God said, I'm promising you the land of Israel. To your seed, I'm giving this land. Kavar natati, I am giving. It's already been given. Natati, I have given. Hu natan lo b'pol. Not only was it there in potential, it had been given, but now God brought it down another level into reality. All Eser Artzot, God gave Abraham not just the land of Israel that we have now. He gave Abraham a much greater area than what we have now. Now God promised Abraham the land where 10 kingdoms were, that encompassed 10 kingdoms, and we only received 7. Lorak Shevan Artzos, not just the 7 kingdoms that we have, like the Chiti and Amoria, Perizi, but also the 3 lands, the Kini and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, which is Moab and Ammon and Edom. That we're going to conquer 3 more lands. When we conquer, they'll willfully give to us. But in fact, the Jewish people, when they went into the land of Israel, they only got 7 lands. Sheva Goyim. Because in the future, the Mashiach, Liot, Yerusha Latid, the Mashiach will take 3, but God, he gave everything at one time to Abraham. But actually doing it, it happened to reveal itself in stages. Al derech, like it says, regarding the conquering the 7 lands. When they went in with Joshua, it said it didn't happen in one time. It didn't happen immediately in the time of Abraham, but it happened afterwards, not at one time. It's stages, like I said, it took 7 years. And even if we learn from what it says to the 3 lands that God promised, the additional lands that God promised to Abraham, so maybe we can say it was just a promise for the future. But in fact, God only gave Abraham only 7. And the 3 are going to be at the time of the Moshiach. So maybe God didn't give Abraham all 10 lands. He gave him only 7, and he said to Moshiach, I'm going to renew the whole thing. I'm going to give him 3 more. Harimuvan, it's understood that the inheritance of these three lands, this is relevant to the completion of the occupation of the land of Israel by the Jews, Gam Shel Sheva Artzos, even of the seven lands. As then Nitasef B'Shleimus Gam Sheva Artzos. So even if you want to say that God in fact told Abraham, listen, I'm promising the Jewish people in general 10 lands, but I'm only going to give you 7. And when the time comes, you're going to get the other 3. It's going to add. So, but right now, the covenant is only on 7 lands. So even if you want to say that, says the Rebbe, the fact of the matter is that when the Jews do get these other 3 lands that were promised in potential to Abraham, that's going to complete the whole promise that God made. Ubafrat Shem Ruba the Minkar. And this is the majority of the lands from the majority which is recognized. So the 7 lands, they will be improved noticeably and completed by the 3 lands that Moshiach is going to conquer. So God promised Abraham that he's going to give them 10, that he's going to give the Jews 10 lands, 10 areas that are occupied by 10 different nations. And in fact, we only took 7. So I said, okay, even if you want to say that God promised Abraham all 10 and the other 3 will be revealed later, or even if you want to say that God really promised Abraham 7 and the 3 that are going to come later, that's Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be a new promise, a new manifest. However you want to say it, the 7 that Abraham got will be improved drastically by the 3 that'll be added on. Then Israel will be whole. Eretz Yisrael Shlema. Then it'll really be whole. It's understood since nowadays, Yeshua, even in the times of Joshua, and the time of the first temple, and the time of Ezra, and the second temple, the Jewish people only conquered the 7 lands, and not the other 3, the Kenyan, the Kenizi, and the Kadmoni. That the Kenyan, the Kenizi, and the Kadmoni, that extends into what they call now Jordan and big parts of Persia and parts of Iraq. That's a law of the cities of refuge. Like the Psak Din of the Rambam. The Rambam says that there are 6 cities of refuge. 3 Moses gave on the other side of the Jordan, right? On the, the eastern side of the Jordan River, what's now called the country of Jordan. There were 3 cities of refuge that Joshua made in the land of Canaan, what's called Israel. And in the days of the Mashiach, they're going to be added on 3 more. This, the Maimonides says in his book, which is a book of cold laws. It's not a book of Midrash and Kabbalah and mysteries. It's a law book, just like every Jew has to put on tefillin every day, and Shabbat comes at a certain time. There's also in the future, it says there were 6 cities. It's a commandment to make cities of refuge. These are only relevant when all the Jews are in Israel. 6 cities of refuge. And when Mashiach comes, it's a law, there's going to be 3 more. The cities of refuge, a person that killed somebody by accident, what's that going to be relevant when Mashiach comes? We'll talk about that in a different time. Heichen Mosifim, where do we make these 3 lands, says the Rambam, Maimonides, and the Kenyan, and the Kenizi, and the Kadmoni. Chaser Shlemos, until that is made, that we get the other 3 lands, all the 10. If so, the whole completion of land of Israel has not yet been made. Even the 7 lands that we've been holding for the last 3,000 years, it's not complete yet. Al derech, if you like, it is relevant to the land of Israel itself. Similarly, it is also relevant to the Jewish people living in Israel. Or it's even after they took over the land of Israel. There was never a time that all the Jews were living. All of the Jewish people living in the land of Israel. Never was. There was always some Jews that lived outside, and even more. Even when all the Jewish people were living in the land of Israel, as Yeshna Dargos, there are levels. So it's understood simply that even though that according to the law, especially the Jubilee year is only when all of the Jews are living in Israel. All the Jewish people is Kol B'nai Israel, all of the Jewish people in that generation. Like it was in the time of Joshua and also the majority of the first temple, it says that all the Jews were living in Israel. But in the future, the whole idea of all the Jews living in Israel, called Yoshvei Aleha, this will also add also the 10 tribes. In the middle, like in the last third of the first temple, 10 tribes were taken into captivity, and nobody knows where they are until today. So all the Jews weren't living in the land of Israel. They couldn't make the Jubilee year. Shagolo, that they were taken, the 10 tribes, they were taken on, it says, on the other side of this river Sabbation. The Jews have been looking for them all the time since then. The Gam called Bnei Israel, all the Jewish people, all the generations. Shlemus, they'll all come up, eventually all the dead will rise. Then there'll be even more completion of all the Jews really will be dwelling on the land of Israel. That's really going to be the completion of the land of Israel. So we see what's going on over here. God promised Abraham the whole business, the whole entire business, 10 tribes, all of them are going to be living in the land of Israel. There's going to be the 10 nations. They'll all be, even all the Jews will live in Israel, even those, the dead that'll rise. So God promised Abraham what's going to be in the future, the total future, right? When the whole of land of Israel will belong to the Jewish people. Now we only have 7 lands, but we have it on virtue of the fact that God promised the 10 lands to Abraham. What's this got to do with me and you? We just talked about a political thing. That we're going to find out tomorrow. Okay, let us now do the Yom Yom. A little bit over time here. We go.